What good folks, it's Dark19 and welcome back to another What If Naruto Gained the Power of the Predator finale. So do your boy a favor and like, comment, subscribe and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 7 Bloody Victory. Naruto leapt from tree to tree in stealthy silent fashion only he could do, as he hunted the last, and most powerful member of the Akatsuki organization. It wasn't easy, of course, due to Madara being elusive and hiding in the shadows long after his encounter with the Shodaime over 100 years ago. However, Naruto's eyes could find Madara with the help of his mask. Following the unusual trail of chakra the man left behind, that was, like Kyuubi said, was a much more sinister thing than the fox's own, and easy to find once it was locked on due to the heat the chakra created. No matter how sinister or soothing it was, it left a trail all over the place, and could be tracked when seen. "He's near. I can feel it," said Kyuubi angrily, growling at knowledge the Uchiha was near and was looking forward to seeing the bastard die a painful death. "Calm yourself, Kyuubi. If you get angry, you'll juice me up, and he'll see it before using his power to suppress your chakra. We can't have that. I know you're angry, but you're also a living creature, and all living creatures have free will. You can resist the rage if you try," thought Naruto, as he knew Kyuubi could fight off Madara's power, and the desire to rip the man's head off. That was reserved for the Namikaze. "I know. Just so many bad memories of him makes my blood boil." "Well, if I still had a body to go with the boiling blood, that is," said Kyuubi, as he focused on resisting the growing anger within himself, and listened to his vessel. "Well, soon he will be just that. A memory," thought Naruto, as the internal section of his mask's visor on the screen telling him that someone was nearby, and it matched the trail the Namikaze had been following. He was here. "We've come to it, at last," said Kyuubi, grinning within Naruto, knowing that today was the day death finally caught up with Madara. "Uchiha Madara," said Naruto, letting his voice echoing through the trees while hanging off of one of them fully cloaked, seeing the other masked man stand up from the tree he was on and removed his own orange spiral mask to show his face. "So you're finally here. Why not show yourself?" said Madara, as he didn't see any point to going into his Tobi persona, and saw the Namikaze reveal himself up on a higher tree. "Satisfied?" said Naruto before moving to another tree while Madara staying where he was. "Hardly. You may have learned a few interesting things, but the fact remains my pet fox inside of your body cannot intervene and save you, Namikaze," said Madara, as he heard Naruto chuckle, and then remove his mask before throwing it onto the ground. "How long have you known that I was his son?" said Naruto, as he saw Madara quickly in a single instant transform his clothing into the clothing of old he fought the Shodaime with ages ago at the Valley of the End. "Since the sealing. Not that hard to see you were his child. Of course, I imagine that your village knew, but didn't want to accept it, and if they did, they didn't care about what the man wanted for you," said Madara, as he had known about the village's abuse of the boy, and the retaliation the Namikaze delivered upon his attackers. "I see. And yet, you made no move to kill me afterwards, knowing it would free Kyuubi from my body. Then again, Kyuubi was free from your influence, and I'm going to bet that your eyes didn't have the strength to repeat your actions to piss the fox off. I'm guessing the statue thing was a backup plan just in case someone sealed the fox away like the other 9 were and your revenge on the leaf failed. Am I right?" said Naruto, as he saw Madara's arrogant smirk, and the way the man did it reminded the Namikaze a lot of when Sasuke did the same thing. "That is indeed correct. Whenever I put Kyuubi in such a state, I am weakened somewhat considerably, and even more so after my battle with the Shodaime. I became a shadow of my former self after that battle, and took me a long time to recover while everyone in the leaf thought I died. After I recovered, I swore revenge against the leaf, but had to make preparations, and did so over the years. Using my Sharingan to influence others to do what I wished, carrying out a long planned out strategy to weaken all the shinobi villages to the point where they cannot oppose me when my dream came true. I became the 3rd Mizukage to find out just who among the different clans there were a threat to me, and used my Sharingan on the 4th Mizukage, whom was a demon vessel named Yagura, to weaken them with the bloodline civil war. I tempted Orochimaru by in his lab to give him with the idea of immortality, using the Sharingan to complete his ambition to know all the jutsus in the world. I helped Uchiha Itachi kill the Uchiha clan, knowing he needed help in taking down the planned coup they were going to start, and to further weaken Konoha considerably," said Madara, as he grinned at Naruto, who narrowed his eyes at the oldest Uchiha in existence, and let out a growl that echoed throughout the area. "You have much to answer for, Uchiha Madara," said Naruto, as he brought out his wrist blades, and brought out one of his just as deadly sword. "I'm sure I do in the eyes of many if they were to learn the truth about my secret actions throughout the elemental countries. However, I am immortal, and being immortal means that I cannot be killed. That I cannot die," said Madara confidently before bringing out his sword ready for battle. Bold words from someone who's afraid of death, said Naruto, letting out a chuckle, and saw Madara frown. Hardly. I don't fear anything, said Madara, as he activated his eyes, and saw Naruto grin expand wider. Such arrogance. It's no wonder the Shodaime was able to beat you, said Naruto, as he saw Madara scowl, and again was reminded of Sasuke. When I'm done destroying your body, Namikaze, I'm going to influence your mind with my Sharingan like I did Kyuubi, and then make you destroy everyone in the elemental countries you love. Starting off with that lover of yours. What's her name again? It's Hyuga, Hinata was it? Said Madara, who heard Naruto let out an angry demonic roar that seemed to shake the ground around them, and now had the multicolored haired boy's fully attention. Your head will be my most coveted trophy in my collection when this is over, said Naruto, as the two charged the other, and thus began the pre-verbal clash of titans. Konoha at the moment, Senju Tsunade was pissed. No, she was beyond pissed, and for good reason. Aburame Shino had come to her office, telling the female Hokage all about what his fly had heard, and how people within Konoha's walls were conspiring against Tsunade's only godson. The Slug Princess knew this mission against the Akatsuki would weaken Naruto to the point where Root Shinobi would have no problem killing the Namikaze, and even more so if they ganged up on him all at once. It's time these assholes were reminded of just who they are messing with outside of Naruto himself. Thought Tsunade, as she summoned Yugao and her Anbu team to her office. You called Hokage-sama? Said Yugao, wearing her cat Anbu mask. Get every Anbu loyal to me in here now. Same with Jiraiya too. Tell him unless he wants to be without his dick for the remainder of his life that he gets his ass in this office within seconds of this order. I have an important mission that requires only their utmost commitment, loyalty, and secrecy needed to protect the leaf, said Tsunade, as she saw Yugao nod, and quickly head out to gather all the necessary forces for the mission. Tsunade-sama, what is going on? Said Shizune, as she came into the room, and saw her teacher in medicine getting increasingly angrier by the second. Those bastards on the councils have organized a planned assassination on Naruto the very moment he comes back to Konoha using the last of Danzo's root forces. They think they can get away with it, but I'm not about to have my godson walk into a trap by those fuckers, and show them what it means to cross my family, said Tsunade, as she had long wished to prove to Naruto that she cared for him, and this was going to be the proof she needed to show the Namikaze by killing every single arrogant bigot trying to raise up arms against the young man. What about the rookies and guys team? Surely they can help? Said Shizune, as she saw Tsunade nod at the idea, and knew they would love to prove to Naruto they didn't hate him. Good idea, Shizune. Bring them all here too, said Tsunade, as she knew they could be trusted with this assignment, and help deal with this annoyance. Within the hour, everyone Tsunade could trust was in the room, and she told them what the councils had planned with the remaining leftover root shinobi they now had under their command. It was upsetting to the rookies, as they missed Naruto greatly during his banishment, and always hated the people in power for causing it, and now they were trying to screw Naruto over further. Unacceptable. When do we start? Said Kiba, as he had seen Hinata in terms of sister, and knew how much Naruto meant to her. It was time for the Inuzuka to act like a good big brother and protect the one his little sister loved. Right now. Jiraiya had the Toads find every root shinobi in the village and all those involved in the assassination attempt on the councils. Take them down. Dead or alive. Go, said Tsunade, as she saw them take off to complete the mission, and smirked at the thought of teaching those fools a lesson. She was going to show that Naruto wasn't the only one who could hunt. With Naruto and Madara, glowing red blood ran down the side of Naruto's left arm while Kyuubi's chakra healed the injury underneath his armor, while Madara himself was injured along his right leg from a wicked gash near the kneecap. The two had been at it a while now. Madara had long since decided against his teleporting technique for this fight since it had resulted in failure the first time it was tried, and had cost the Uchiha the wound on his leg. Naruto himself found out why the Shodaime had such a hard time with Madara in the first place, as the Uchiha was indeed the strongest of his clan, and was constantly pushing the predator of a Namikaze to his limits. Madara used his Sharingan to keep Naruto's punches from hitting, but at the same time, the younger man's eyes revealed what limbs Madara was going to use before they were used due to the heat in each limb flaring each time an arms and or leg tried to land a blow. In short, it was a stalemate. You're pretty good, Naruto. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't kill you after being born for only a minute, said Madara before he was shoved back by Naruto's far superior physical strength. You did what? Said Naruto, as he saw the Uchiha grinning at him, and readied his wrist blades to gut Madara right now. Your mother was the previous vessel of the fox. I was looking for him for so long and found out my pet had been sealed inside of her. I threatened to kill you the moment you were born, and due to the pregnancy her seal weakened considerably. It was by this point that the fox's power was leaking out of her body at a dangerously lethal rate and would have died soon after had Kushina not done the unexpected, said Madara, as he charged at Naruto, who blocked the sword with his wrist blades, and looked the Uchiha right in his Sharingan eyes. She released Kyuubi to have it kill you for taking me. She didn't know that the eyes of the Sharingan had the power to control the fox like the Senju clan could, said Naruto, as he saw Madara smiling at him with a cruel smile, and it was making the Namikaze very angry. Correct. Your father knew what she was going to do in advance, which gave him the motivation to seek me out, and take you back in order to, well, you know the rest, said Madara, letting out a chuckle, and was answered with a from Naruto, now attacking in a savage manner with a speed that even the Uchiha Sharingan was having trouble seeing to counter. Madara tried to use his Sharingan powers against Naruto, but the younger was not so easily influenced by them like he first thought, and the Uchiha suspected the Shinigami seal on the Namikaze had something to do with it. It was long before Naruto had forced Madara to back himself up against a tree, which the man was so surprised he had even done that, and used his teleportation technique to prevent the loss of his head via Naruto's sword in the Namikaze's left hand. The tree that was behind the Uchiha, however, was not so lucky. Forget having your head as a trophy on my wall. Smashing your body into liquid goo is more than enough for me, said Naruto, picking up his mask before putting it on, as he let out another mighty roar, and then threw his shuriken at Madara, with the man dodging it by jumping to his left in a very acrobatic fashion. Then the Uchiha had to quickly jump around to prevent the red chakra firing cannons on Naruto's shoulders from hitting him, and it wasn't easy either. Madara also knew that this was just a means for Naruto to force his hand into close quarters so the younger man could try to slice him to pieces with those wrist blades. He's good. It's clear my pet has done little to influence him in terms of its chakra healing the boy's wounds when injured, and even if I did suppress Kyuubi's power long enough to stop it, the Namikaze has more than enough tolerance to handle severe injuries, thought Madara, as he heard a sound behind him, and saw the spinning alien shuriken coming back, and leapt out of the way of its ruthless spinning blades. And it gave Naruto the opening he needed. Targeting Madara in mid-jump, Naruto recalculated the targeting system to fire seconds before the Uchiha landed on the area he was jumping to, and aimed low to take the man's legs off at the knees. Madara himself didn't expect this, which was surprising due to his lack of understanding in the kind of weapons Naruto had at his disposal, and when it came to the shinobi world, the unknown can get you killed. The last true Uchiha screamed out in agony, as the ground, or rather his legs, gave out from under him due to the fact his legs from the kneecap down were no longer attached to the rest of his body. Before Madara could do anything about his new situation, his opponent had put away his shuriken, and brought out the kombi stick in all its menacing glory. Throwing the weapon, Naruto hit Madara right in the right arm just below the man's elbow, and put his massive steel-plated combat boot right on the Uchiha's chest. Tell me, Uchiha Madara, do you fear death? Said Naruto, as he drew his sword out again, and pointed the tip at the Uchiha's neck. No. I don't. Just like your father, said Madara, as he saw eyes on the mask flash red before Naruto drove his blade right into the Uchiha's throat, and then decapitated the man in 2 slices of his weapon. You are nothing like him. At least he died with his honor, said Naruto, as he picked up the head of Uchiha Madara, and then let out a mighty demonic roar that echoed into the sky for all to hear. The masked hunter now had his trophy, and it would be considered the greatest of all the trophies among the Akatsuki he hunted. Konoha. 1 week later, Naruto had returned to his base of operations soon after Uchiha Madara's head was taken, and began the cleaning procedure of his new trophy before mounting on the wall that was designed specifically to hold the various members of the Akatsuki he hunted. The only skulls he did not have on the wall were Konans, Zetsus, Sasaris, Kakukus, Hidans, and Orochimarus for different reasons that were his own, despite having some worthy substitutes, including all of their rings, and for some the items in their possession that were of their handiwork. Now here Naruto was, back in Konoha to collect his payment, as he had all 9 rings in his possession, and a report all ready for the Hokage to hear memorized in his head. He knew Tsunade would be cautious of Ame in the future because of his decision not to kill Konan, but Naruto would explain that she was not a threat anymore, and that the man behind it was with the man now dead. If his pay got reduced, then Naruto didn't care, since it wasn't about the money, and one couldn't put a price on one's honor if they truly felt it was priceless. As he walked through the village, Naruto noticed a distinct decrease in the population, and frowned in wonder as to why that was. Was there an attack coming? Surely the fools of this village would not try something so stupid that they would try to kill him now after proving he was no longer an easy target for them to hurt, much less kill. Sensing nothing was amiss, the former Leaf Shinobi walked through the streets of Konoha with people giving him a lot of space to head to the Hokage Tower, and it seemed now that almost all of the people seemed terrified of him. When he got closer to the mountain, Naruto found out why, and smiled behind his mask at what the reason was for the fear. Hanged by rope now tied to poles on top of the Hokage monument were the bodies of the two councils, their stomachs gutted, and showed signs that they had all suffered painful deaths. "I love what you've done with the place," said Naruto when he entered the Hokage's office and placed all the rings of Akatsuki in front of Tsunade. "You can thank your friends and shinobi that wish to prove they're not like them," said Tsunade, as she saw Naruto, and then look out the window for a moment. "I noticed Sakura's body among the rest of them. I take it she chose the losing side?" said Naruto, seeing the Hokage nod her head while grimacing. "Oh, she chose all right. Said quite a few things about you too. Her along with the rest of her bastard family sided with the councils, who just so you know were planning to have you killed the moment you returned, and using the leftover root shinobi that remained. After I found out about it, I made the decision to liquidate them if you will, and count it as an acceptable loss for the village since most of them shouldn't be alive anyway with the laws they've broken. Of course, the ones we captured all screamed out how they were trying to do the village a service, and that you needed to be killed. All the usual same old crap when it comes to you," said Tsunade, as she heard Naruto chuckle, and knew that she had managed to get back some of his good graces with this bloody act. "And now all the powers of the Hokage are yours once more," said Naruto, seeing the woman nod and that she had a look of sadness in her eyes, though there was a mixture of hope in them too. "I don't suppose you'll reconsider staying and taking my place now that it's all powerful again?" said Tsunade, as she saw Naruto shake his head no, and she slumped her head in defeat. "The title of Hokage may be powerful now, Granny, but you do need to bring back the two governing positions again, and rearrange it so they aren't powerful enough to override your position. Besides, I personally cannot embrace Konoha anymore, even if you did take care of the bigots, and bring fear to those that would side with them. This is where I part ways from the leaf," said Naruto, as he scooped up all the rings, and turned to leave while ignoring the pained look in Tsunade's eyes. "Would you at least come back to visit us? On occasion?" said Tsunade, as she saw him stop for a moment, and then look back with that damn unreadable mask preventing her from seeing his face. "Maybe one day when my mind is caught up with the rest of my body I will return here. I'm sure Hinata-chan won't mind coming back here to see her cousin and little sister after things have settled," said Naruto, as he left before the Hokage could ask him about Hinata leaving, and why the Hyuga heiress was leaving the leaf. Namikaze Estate. Sometime later, Hyuga Hinata was ready to go. Her bags were packed. Naruto was in his ways after a shadow clone came, and told her he was back to set things in motion for the move. As for Hinata herself, she was thrilled to be with Naruto, and that soon they would be in Spring Country where Princess Koyuki would be there to greet them as honored guests. "Ready to go?" said Naruto, as he appeared in front of Hinata, and the woman hugged the blonde before kissing his mask. "Since the day you first left to hunt down the Akatsuki," said Hinata, as she saw Naruto reactivate the security seals on the Namikaze estates, and the two soon headed to the gates of the leaf to head to Wave Country. It was their path to happiness. "So he's finally leaving, huh? No goodbyes to us? No assurances that he'll want to return one day and help us out of a jam?" said Jiraiya by Tsunade's side, looking out the window of her office and knowing the two former leaf shinobi were on their way. "No. That's not his style. Not anymore. Naruto's walking the path he wants to walk. Not surprising when you think about it. Most of his life. He's walked a path we kept making him walk and never considered that the path was the wrong one because it was the one we walked too," said Tsunade, as she looked at her desk to see Hinata's headband there, and a note explaining why she was following Naruto. Such young love. How Tsunade missed it. "Yeah. Minato was the same way. Took a few kick to my balls to finally see exactly what I was doing was in fact wrong in his training. That he would see a different path that was perfect for him and I was only hurting Minato when I tried to redirect the path towards what I walked," said Jiraiya, as he saw now how much Naruto was like Minato in that regard, and once more screwed up like he first did with the Yondaime. "Hinata's note told me they were heading to Spring Country and that Naruto was going to become the cage of its shinobi village," said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya smirk, and then the man let out a small laugh. "I don't doubt it. After killing so many S-class missing nin, I highly doubt anything less than a cage-level position would be suitable for Naruto, and it was his dream after all," said Jiraiya, knowing that Naruto being a cage of a shinobi village would definitely be interesting in the next few years. "That's true, but I always wanted him to take the position of Hokage, and not the title of cage from another village," said Tsunade with a sigh. "That was never going to happen so long as the councils and all the bigots in the village were fueling their power." Tsunade. "Even with them gone, most of the populace would never truly be loyal to Naruto, and would prefer to be overthrown by an outside enemy than live under his rule, said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade become angry with tears in her eyes, and could tell she wanted to hit something. Damn fools. All of them. Still, there are signs of hope with the younger generation, and that's what I have to fight for now until my successor can take my place, said Tsunade, as she knew of only one other person who was qualified to take this position aside from Naruto, and the boy was still a Genin. And I'll help too. From what I hear, Konohamaru along with his friends have a lot of raw potential in them, and look up to Naruto. They have his desire to be strong, and I think they would be perfect for training under yours truly, said Jiraiya, knowing that Ebisu was doing a good job so far, but the kids could go far, and the Sannin wanted them at their maximum potential. Just don't make them into super perverts. Jiraiya, or peeping in hot springs will be a faint memory after I remove your manhood, said Tsunade, as she saw the man wave his hands defensively, and knew he wouldn't try anything like that. I wouldn't dream of it, Tsunade Heim. Though I will need to take the two boys to a fancy brothel after I help them become Chunin, said Jiraiya, grinning his usual grin. Bam! And like that, Jiraiya was sent all the way down to the bottom of the Hokage Tower via one-way ticket on the Hokage's Fist Express, and missed the woman's yell of pervert. Aim down at him. Good times. Epilogue 5 years later, Naruto sat in his office in Yukigakure, as he finished up the last of his paperwork for the evening required of him since he was the Shodaime Ashukage, and headed home to his lovely wife Namikaze Hyuga Hinata. Along the way, the people of the village bowed humbly in his presence, as they gave him looks of respect that he would never get in the Leaf, and saw children having pride in their eyes at living in this village with him governing it. They knew what Naruto held inside, but they didn't care, as the man was a hero to them for what he did years before, and saved their princess, now spring daimyo Koyuki, from certain harm. He had brought alliances from various villages and even countries to their side that were bringing them great prosperity. However, it didn't mean that their shinobi village could become fat, bored, and arrogant like the Leaf had become from all of their victories. As the Ashukage, Naruto kept his shinobi in tip-top condition, made sure they had yearly psyche evaluations, and that they did intense mandatory training equivalent of their rank for several hours a day. The Genin didn't do D-ranked missions like the Leaf did after they graduated, but rather did them at the academy while still being trained, and developed the fundamentals of teamwork in the classroom. The teachers made sure their lectures, their way of teaching wasn't boring, but rather they were informative, examples were shown, and instructed the students in the understanding that being a shinobi is not the glamorous tale of intense action that they may have suspected it was. Hinata-chan. I'm home, said Naruto, as he entered his well-sized home, and was greeted with the sight of his wife there with their 2.5-year-old son named Azriel. Welcome back, Naruto-kun. Azriel has missed you almost as much as I have, said Hinata, as she gave him a kiss after he removed his helmet, and saw Naruto look at his son they helped create together. How are your former students these days? I hear they've been doing well, and I have paperwork on my desk indicating they want to become Jounin, said Naruto, as he wanted to know what his wife thought of her former Genin team she trained just prior to getting pregnant with their son, and seeing them become remarkable Chunin. They've stopped by, wishing me good luck with our son, and if they could spar with me on occasion to see how they measure up against me, said Hinata, as she blushed slightly at Naruto's close contact near her face, and the way he sniffed her hair. Have I told you how sexy you are and how incredible you smell? Said Naruto, as he placed a hand on her hip, and gave her lust-filled look. Plenty of times, my love. Though if you intend to go through with what I think you are going to, then I have to warn you that it could result in me being pregnant again, and I will be hormonally unstable like I was before, said Hinata, as she had been angry, sad, and hungry during her time being pregnant with their child. Don't get her even started on the labor. But you're so sexy when you're like that, said Naruto, as he moved his hand that was on her hip to cup the woman's ass, and gave it a healthy squeeze that made Hinata moan out with lust. Maybe we could spend some quality time together, said Hinata, as she could easily put Azriel to bed, and then they could spend time in their bed. Some? Why not the rest of the day going into the night? I keep a shadow clone on hand to watch over the baby, and we can spend time together that will make us another baby, said Naruto, as he knew how to turn this lovely woman in front of him on, and this was one of those ways. Deal, said Hinata, as she couldn't take it any longer, and kissed him hungrily while gripping what she could of his fishnet-covered body. For the rest of the day going into the night, no one dared get near the Namikaze home, and when the Hyuga woman became pregnant a second time, everyone in the village knew what day caused such an event. All was right with Naruto's world. Fin.